Monday morning should have felt normal, but after seeing a ghost in my back seat, normal had kind of left the group chat. I sat in my 1991 Accord before school, with both hands on the steering wheel, staring into the rearview mirror like it owed me rent. The back seat was empty. Old fabric seats, morning light. No ghost. I checked the mirror first. Empty. For 1 second, I actually let myself breathe. Then a pale face appeared in the mirror, right behind me, my whole body twisted around before my brain could vote on it. Nope. The back seat was empty again. Of course it was gone. Because apparently ghosts also liked comedic timing. I faced forward and gripped the wheel harder than necessary, trying to decide if selling a car after one day was dramatic or reasonable. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat. "Bon, where you at?" Then another. "You picking me up or what?" Then another. "We gotta park near the front." I stared at the screen with the deadest face I had ever made. "Good morning to you too." At least the car started. That was one win. The engine rattled awake, and Reese's charm swung near the ignition, catching a little piece of morning light. I should have known the day was only getting started. Bon was already outside when I pulled up, standing with his backpack like he had been waiting for a royal escort. He opened the passenger door with too much confidence. "Yer." Then he dropped into the seat, and the whole Accord dipped like it had just accepted a new responsibility. "Luxury," Bon said. I looked at him. It's a 1991 Accord. He placed one hand on the dashboard like he was blessing it. "That's called vintage motion." Then his eyes found the charm. That was when I remembered I had made one fatal mistake. I had left evidence in plain sight. Bon's grin started growing. I knew that grin. That grin had ruined entire mornings. "Don't," I said. Bon leaned toward the charm like a detective in a crime show. "Hold on." "No holding on." He pointed at it. "That Reese's charm?" My face got hot instantly. "It's just a charm." Bon sat back, fully entertained. "Boy, you driving with emotional support jewelry." I swatted toward him without taking my eyes off the road. "Shut up," Bon dodged like I had thrown a full punch. "Domestic violence before first hour is crazy." By the time we pulled into St. Paul Senior High, Bon had already made me regret giving him passenger privileges. The parking lot looked normal. Yellow school buses, students with backpacks, cold October air, cars squeezing into spots while everybody pretended Monday had not personally attacked them. School looked normal, which meant nothing anymore. I parked carefully between two cars, and Bon was already unbuckling before the car even settled. "Wait till I stop." "I've been stopped spiritually." He threw the door open and stepped out like he was arriving at an event. "Yeah!" some football guys yelled back, and Bon instantly became louder than the parking lot. I got out, locked the Accord, then checked the back seat one more time through the rear window. Empty again. Which somehow did not make me feel better. Because if senior year had taught me anything so far, empty did not always mean alone. Bon and I entered with the student crowd, him big, loud, and comfortable, me smaller beside him and still thinking about the mirror. Homeroom was already acting like Monday had personally offended everybody. Students were settling in, chairs scraped, bags hit floors. Jane sat across the room with her phone, looking like Monday owed her money. Risa sat near her, quiet, notebook close, thinking about something I did not know yet. Tones sat in the back row, still and tense, watching from under the classroom light. The teacher started writing announcements on the board. Homecoming dance reminders are posted by the office. I put my keys on my desk. The charm dangled from the key ring and softly clinked against the wood. Risa's eyes flicked down to the charm on my desk. She noticed it right away. It was small, easy to miss. But she saw it. Then she quickly looked down at her notebook like she had been caught doing something dangerous. Jane noticed Risa noticing. Of course Jane noticed. Jane noticed everything. She looked from the charm to Risa and gave this tiny knowing smile, like life had just handed her entertainment. I noticed none of that. I was too busy trying not to think about the ghost in my car to notice anything useful. Bon leaned toward me with the kind of whisper that was never actually quiet. "You still thinking about the charm?" I turned slightly, annoyed and already flustered. "I am thinking about graduation requirements," Jane half turned in her seat, earned. That's the worst lie you've told this week. I had no defense. Risa gripped her notebook and took a small breath. The classroom sound dropped around me like someone had turned down the world. Anna, she said. I turned toward her. Yeah? She looked nervous, but she did not back away from it. Do you want to go to the dance with me? Everything in my body stopped. My soul left my body, checked the hallway, and came back confused. Bon leaned back with both hands over his mouth, trying not to explode. Jane watched calmly, satisfied, like a plan was finally working. I opened my mouth and trusted absolutely none of the words that came out. Yes, yes. Risa smiled with relief, shy but happy. Okay, I said back, because apparently that was all my brain had left. Bon made a silent, screaming face so intense I could feel it beside me. Jane shot him one warning look. Don't. He stayed quiet, but his whole body looked like it was fighting for its life. Risa looked down at her desk, but she could not fully hide the smile. I sat there stunned, staring at her. Risa had asked me, out loud, in a room with witnesses. Then, the mood broke. In the back row, Tones's jaw tightened. His hand gripped the edge of his desk hard enough to make the wood creak. Then he stood abruptly. His chair scraped across the floor. Everyone turned. Tones did not explain. He did not look back. He just walked out of homeroom with his shoulders tight and disappeared through the door. And just like that, the room remembered how to feel weird again. A few students whispered. What was that? The teacher looked at the door, looked at us, then chose survival. Anyway, please remember the dance forms. Bon slowly leaned toward me. Bro, I rubbed my forehead. Don't. Across the room, Risa snuck one more glance at me. I caught her looking. For half a second, our eyes met. Then we both looked away at the same time like we had been burned. Jane leaned back in her chair, quietly entertained by both of us. This is painful to watch. When the bell finally rang, the classroom exploded into motion. Chairs scraped. Backpacks swung onto shoulders. Everybody poured into the hallway like the room had been holding its breath. The hallway hit me like oxygen after holding my breath too long. Lockers slammed. Students talked over each other. Shoes squeaked against the floor. Bon threw an arm around my shoulder, trapping me in a side hug like I owed him money. My boy got invited by Risa. Lower your voice. Jane walked ahead with Risa and leaned in just enough for me to hear. You did good. Risa blushed and lightly bumped Jane with her shoulder. Stop. I watched Risa 1 second too long. Bon saw it instantly. His grin got wider. Down bad. Then Risa stepped away for a minute. She headed toward the girls' bathroom while Jane waited near the lockers, checking her phone. Inside, the bathroom was all fluorescent light, sinks, mirrors, and stalls. The kind of place that should have felt ordinary and somehow felt too still. Risa washed her hands and looked into the mirror. Behind her, the stalls sat quiet. One far stall door hung slightly open. The reflection felt delayed, like the room was thinking before it moved. Risa quickly turned around. Hello? Nothing answered, just an empty bathroom. A far stall door open, a drip from somewhere she could not see. She hurried out, unsettled, clutching her sleeve. Outside, she almost bumped straight into me. Oh, sorry, I said. We froze too close to each other for one very stupid second. It's okay, she said. Then she glanced back at the bathroom. You okay? I asked. Risa tried to smile, but she still looked shaken. Yeah, just felt weird in there. That made the hair on the back of my neck rise. I looked past her toward the bathroom entrance. And there he was. A skinny teenage ghost with glasses and bright green hair peeked around the girls' bathroom doorway. The green hair was not subtle either. It looked less dyed and more spiritually embarrassing. He smiled awkwardly and gave me a little wave. Hey. I stared at him. Absolutely not. That was the only thought I had. Absolutely not. By the time school ended, I had too many problems and exactly 0 answers. Tones had walked out of homeroom like a curse had just activated. Risa had asked me to the dance. A green-haired bathroom ghost had waved at me like we were about to become friends. And my car might, or might not, have a backseat ghost with dramatic timing. I drove the Accord away from school alone, staring ahead while one sentence kept punching through everything else. Do you want to go to the dance with me? Risa's voice echoed in my head so clearly I almost missed my turn. The coffee and boba shop glowed warm against the cooler evening when I arrived. Safe, normal, that was what it was supposed to be. The bell over the door jingled when I stepped inside. Jane was behind the counter, sealing drinks fast and relaxed like she owned the rush. She looked up at me and immediately clocked my face. You're late in the face. I reached for my apron. That is not a real sentence. Then I tied my apron wrong because my brain was still somewhere in homeroom. Jane stood across from me with her arms folded, studying me like a case file. You look broken. I'm fine. I tried to prove it by working. Instead, I picked up an empty cup and tried to put a lid on it. Plastic tapped against plastic. Jane silently pointed at the empty cup. For one beat, even the blenders felt like they stopped. I lowered the cup slowly. That one was practice. Jane leaned closer, amused. Be nice to Risa, she likes you a lot. My body short-circuited. My eyes dropped to the charm on my keys near the register. The little charm gave the tiniest jingle. Somehow hearing it from Jane made it worse. I grabbed my break drink. I'm going on break. The front of the shop sounded alive. Blenders, cups, customers talking, the register, the bell by the door. But as I stepped away from the counter and into the back hallway, all of that sound faded behind me. The back hallway did not sound alive. It sounded like a refrigerator hum, a fluorescent buzz, and space that was waiting for me. The hallway stretched ahead with storage shelves, a break area, and the closet door at the end. Blue floated near my shoulder but hung back slightly. Its glow touched my work shirt and apron, faint and uneasy. I took a sip from my drink and told myself all I needed was 5 quiet minutes. Then something knocked, soft. I stopped mid-step. Another knock came from the closet door. Knock, knock. The edges of the door seemed darker than the rest of the hallway. I slowly turned toward it. Hello? The closet door trembled lightly. The handle sat still, but the wood gave the tiniest shake. I stepped closer, cautious, one hand slightly raised. Is someone in there? The refrigerator hum lowered until it felt like the whole back hallway was listening. A muffled voice came from inside the door. Help me. My eyes widened. For 1 second, I forgot about ghosts. Because it sounded real, like an actual person trapped behind the door. From my point of view, the closet handle looked too close and too far at the same time. The knocking got faster. Please, open the door. I reached out and gripped the handle. The metal creaked under my hand. Hold on. Then the voice came again, weak and desperate. I'm allergic to peanuts. My stomach dropped. I yanked the closet door open. For a second, the doorway flashed white, then the dark closet came into view. Boxes, old supplies, syrup cases, paper cups, cleaning equipment. Everything stacked too tight like the room had been packed by someone who never wanted to come back. A low closet hum sat underneath the muffled noise from the front of the shop. Something moved in the corner. A hunched figure crouched low between stacked boxes, mostly hidden in shadow. A weak, shaky breath came from him. Then I saw him clearly, an older former employee, thin, pale, crooked glasses, messy hair, old faded work apron. One hand clutched the front of his shirt as he struggled to speak. Cold ghostlight outlined him. His eyes were red-rimmed and frightened, and his face looked desperate instead of monstrous. Help me! His fingers trembled against his apron as he leaned forward, trying to get words out. I can't breathe. I froze in the doorway, torn between fear and wanting to help. Blue floated behind me, glowing uneasily, drifting backward instead of forward. The old employee reached weakly toward me. His palm shook. The shadow behind his hand stretched strangely across the closet wall. Please. That was when I thought of Lily. A quick flash hit me, Lily at the memorial corner crying under the streetlight. Lily had been scared too. Another flash. My hand touching the top of Lily's head. Her memories opening. Her unfinished pain showing me what she needed. Touching her had shown me what she needed. Back in the present, I looked at the old employee ghost with fear and pity. Maybe this was the same. Blue darted forward like a warning, bright and fast across the dark panel of the closet. I ignored it. I stepped into the closet anyway, left hand raised. I heard you. I'm here. My cursed left hand hovered above the ghost's shoulder. A high-pitched ringing started inside my ears. Faint black veins of energy moved under the skin of my hand. Then my fingers touched his shoulder. Snap! A blue-black shockwave spread from the contact. The whole world cracked into black. The memory hit me like I was inside his body. Years ago, a break room, younger coworkers laughing around him. The edges of everything warped sepia and black-red. A peanut bar was held out in someone's hand. Wrapper crinkle. Come on, Stanley, try it. Stanley adjusted his glasses, awkwardly smiling, trying to fit in. Is there peanut in this? A coworker waved him off with a fake, innocent smile. Nah, you're good. They laughed. Stanley took a bite, crunch. Then the sound dropped away. Coworkers pushed him toward the closet like it was funny. Storage goblin time. Stanley stumbled inside. Wait, hey. The door slammed shut. From outside, they laughed. It's just a joke. Inside the dark closet, the shelves seemed to close in from both sides. The room started feeling smaller. Stanley pressed one hand to his chest and the other against the shelf. His eyes widened. No! He pounded both fists against the inside of the door. Bang, bang, bang. Open the door! Outside, shadows moved away down the hall. Please, I need help! His voice stayed trapped behind the door. He dragged his fingers down the wood, leaving rough scratch marks as he searched for the handle in the dark. Help me. He sank lower against the door, one hand still reaching upward. Please. His hand slid slowly down beside the scratch marks. Then the memory faded into black. I snapped back to the present on the closet floor. My work apron twisted under me. One hand gripped the front of my shirt like the memory was still stuck in my body. Ha! Stanley's ghost now stood over me, taller, darker. His old employee shape was still visible, but the shadow behind him stretched high across the closet walls. The shelves bent inward slightly, like the room was reacting to his anger. His glasses sat crooked. His eyes were wet with grief. But his expression slowly shifted from fear into anger. They heard me. I pushed backward on the closet floor, knocking into boxes and supplies. I opened it. Stanley leaned forward. His old work apron and shirt flickered between normal and shadowed. Dark energy gathered around his chest and shoulders like smoke. They heard me asking for help. I looked up, terrified but sincere, one hand raised defensively and the other pressed to the floor. I heard you. I opened the door. For 1 second, I thought that mattered. His hands twitched at his sides as the wall shadow behind him stretched into long, unnatural shapes. His actual hands stayed human, but the shadow looked more dangerous than his real body. Then Stanley became a tall, corrupted shadow version of himself. His old employee uniform remained visible beneath the dark aura. His glasses glowed faintly, his face hid inside smoke-like darkness. Too late. I was cornered against boxes, one hand braced on the floor. I tried to help you. Stanley stared silently for one beat. Then his mouth twitched into a broken smile. Heh. The laugh came out wrong. Too late. The overhead light flickered. Flicker. Buzz. The closet door slammed shut behind me. No! Blue shot forward in a bright streak, trying to put itself between us. Stanley turned toward Blue, no longer afraid of it. The blue light reflected in his dark eyes. Then Stanley's aura rushed forward like a wave through the cramped closet. No hands, no solid body, just shadow pressure rolling over everything. I scrambled backward across the floor, knocking boxes and cup sleeves aside. Get away! The closet shadows wrapped around my shoulders and apron straps, pressing me back against the boxes without touching my neck. My eyes widened as the room seemed to shrink around me. I gripped my apron with one hand and reached toward Blue with the other. The panel edges seemed to squeeze inward like the closet was closing. Blue shot forward in its glowing orb form, big eyes determined, wispy flame aura trailing behind it. A bright blue streak cut through the black-red shadows. Stanley turned sharply. A wave of dark aura pushed Blue backward before it could reach him. Blue's light smeared across the air. It bumped into a storage shelf and flickered weakly as cups and boxes rattled around it, still glowing, but not enough. Stanley leaned close to me, his face mostly hidden by black-red smoke. His crooked glasses caught a faint blue reflection. I was trapped by the shadow pressure, terrified but conscious. Now you help me. Then everything stopped. Stanley, me, boxes, shadows, light. All of it froze in a heavy silence. Black gutters seemed to thicken around the moment. Stanley slowly turned toward the open storage room beyond the closet. I followed his gaze, still pressed against the boxes as the pressure faded from my chest and apron straps. A low, void hum began. In the storage room entrance stood something tall and black, a reaper, motionless, faceless. No eyes, no mouth, no skin, just a hood full of black void. It looked like a cutout of pure darkness against the dim storage shelves. The shadow pressure around me loosened and pulled away from my shoulders. Air rushed back into me. Ha! Stanley's face changed from rage to true fear. No! The Reaper stayed silent, staring at him from the doorway. Then it raised one long black hand slightly. A low rumble moved through the floor. The tile under Stanley began glowing black-red. Red light bled through cracks that were not really cracks. A circular portal spread beneath him, turning slowly like a burning eye. Smoke curled upward around his legs. Red light painted the closet walls. Stanley looked down. Wait! He tried to step back, but he could not leave the glowing circle. No, no, no. The invisible force held him there. A giant shadow hand rose from the portal, formed from black-red smoke and heat haze, more like a curse than flesh. The red-black light burst upward. The portal current caught Stanley and pulled him off balance. Wait! Stanley hit the floor beside the portal light and pressed both hands against the tile, trying to resist the pull. Red sparks trailed under his fingers. He looked up at the Reaper, pleading, No! My karma isn't enough! The speech bubble in my head felt like it was trembling with him. The portal's shadow current pulled him lower as his old employee uniform flickered in the red light. You can't take me yet! The Reaper remained motionless. It did not answer. It did not react. It stood framed like a final law, not a person. Stanley reached desperately toward me from inside the portal glow. A life for a life. His hand stretched toward me in the red-black light. I stayed frozen on the floor, staring in horror. Blue floated weakly between me and the Reaper, flickering. Its light looked small against the portal glow. The Reaper turned its head toward Blue. Then it laughed. Shh, shh, shh. Not loud, not human. A dry, hollow sound that made the shelves tremble and bent the moment around it. Like it knew Blue. Like it knew Blue could not stop this. Stanley pressed both hands against the tile, still fighting the pull. I can still balance it. The portal's shadow current dragged him lower as his uniform flickered in the red light. I can still take one. For 1 second, his face shifted back toward the frightened old employee. Crooked glasses, helpless expression, human tragedy under all that shadow. Help me. He reached toward me from inside the portal light, fading and desperate. Please, open the door. His old plea echoed over itself like it had been trapped in that closet for years. Only his face and hands remained visible above the black-red glow. No! Red-black smoke curled around him, his eyes locked on mine as the portal light covered him. For one still frame, everything went silent. Then Stanley vanished completely into the dark light. Help me! Whom? The portal snapped shut. The tile looked normal again, with only faint smoke drifting upward. Dead quiet filled the hallway. Then the world came back like nothing had happened. Blenders, customers, the bell over the front door. The normal shop sounds rushed back from the front like they had never left. I crawled out of the closet and collapsed into the back hallway. Ha! Ha! Blue floated low beside me, flickering weakly near my shoulder. The closet door hung open. Shelves, boxes, old scratch marks on the inside of the door, no ghost. The closet was empty, and somehow, that was worse. Jane rounded the corner and froze when she saw me on the floor. Anna? Then she rushed down beside me, worried and confused. What happened? I swallowed hard, still shaken, still trying to force my body back into the world where people made drinks and complained about homework. The empty closet sat behind us. Blue flickered dim beside me. I looked at Jane and gave the only answer I could manage. Nothing. Jane stared at me like she did not believe one syllable of that, but I could not explain it. Not yet. The closet behind me stayed open. No ghost, no portal, no reaper, just shelves and boxes and silence. For the first time since I started seeing ghosts, I understood something else. Lily had not been the rule, she had been the lucky one. Not every ghost could be saved. Behind me, the back hallway stayed quiet. Too quiet. And for the first time all day, the empty closet scared me more than the haunted one had. End episode 5.